Hello again, witches, seekers, and friends, and welcome to the Fat Feminist Witch Podcast, the show where we do a little ranting, raving, and wand waving. I'm your host, Paige, and together we are going to explore magic and spirituality, social justice, the psychic realm, and most importantly, our dreams. Hey witches, and thanks for tuning in to episode 45, all about dream magic and CannaWitches, aka witches who regularly use cannabis in their practice. Now, I want to be clear that this episode is not exclusive to people who love or use weed, which is actually why I chose not to release this on 420, even though that seemed to make sense. It's about dreams, and it's about how we access and use the information we get from our dreams and our subconscious, and how that can interact with this plant. Cannabis, just like any other sketchy herb we talk about here, has uses that span the mundane, medicinal, and magical, but the way that you use it is important and can produce different results. And we'll talk about that today. I'll also talk about ways to increase dream recall, dream meanings and symbols, and some other sketchy herbs and magic rocks that can help facilitate your dream magic practice. So before we jump in all the way, let's talk a little bit about dreams and dream magic. You're going to hear me mention two special types of dreams throughout the episode, and those are psychic dreams or prophetic dreams and lucid dreams. Psychic dreams are exactly what they sound like. They're a message from a magical or spiritual source that enters your dream via your own psychic abilities. So it could be different. If you feel like you're a very clairvoyant person, you could have very vivid visual dreams. If you feel like you're someone that hears things more, your dreams might be totally auditory or feelings-based or whatever. Very interesting. These dreams are usually pretty vivid, and they stick more in your mind during the day because it's something that your brain has marked as, important. Read later. Marked as unread. These dreams may even recur leading up to an event. I definitely had a recurring psychic dream for 2 weeks that led up to a not so fun event and then stopped directly after. It's the most psychic dream I've ever had, and it was very wild. The symbols and messages that you have in these psychic dreams would also really stand out because they're different. They're not really something that your own mind would use to communicate with you. You know what I mean? It's not a symbol that you instantly recognize. They could also be kind of telepathic, carrying psychic messages between you and someone else that lives here on our plane in your waking life. Lucid dreaming, on the other hand, is when you, as the dreamer, are aware that you're currently in a dream. You may even be able to, gain some control over the narrative or story of your dream, but that's not completely necessary for it to be lucid. A lot of people lucid dream and have no idea. No idea at all. I'm one of these people. I thought I never had lucid dreams. I can't control what's happening in my dreams. Until I started describing some of my more frequent dreams and how often I recognize within the dream that I'm in a dream right now. And it turns out that is something that I could really explore further. Really neat. So I'm reading Lucid Dreaming, Plain and Simple right now. Who's it by? Here we go. Robert Waggoner and Caroline McCready. So I'm reading that right now, and hopefully that is something that I can explore and share more in a future episode. I'm really excited about that. So if you're interested in all of this, in this dream work, you might also be interested in looking up astral travel or astral dreaming. This is not something I have a lot of experience with. Maybe you guys have noticed that I am someone who is very connected to my body, to my physical body. And I've never really mastered the feeling of leaving my body. Even when I've had, really strong psychic experiences, I am still tethered to my body. So astral travel might not be something that I can do. It might not be, or maybe I just have to try it a little bit harder. I never gave it a solid try because I couldn't get anything from it, but I digress. So that's psychic dreams and lucid dreams. It's not, that term sometimes is used interchangeably, but it's not. They're very different things. So some people grow up having really intense psychic or lucid dreams without ever trying. It's not something they do on purpose. while some people's dreams are really, really easy to recall, but they're very mundane. They're very obviously, yesterday I ate a cheeseburger and then at night I dreamed about that same cheeseburger. That's cool too. I have a lot of those very boring dreams, or at least I used to. Other people wake up and even though they've had a lot of dreams, they can't remember absolutely anything at all. They might think they never dream. And the reason for that is that, honestly, we as humans have not quite nailed down the science behind dreaming like 100%. There's a lot of information about dreams out there. We have a lot of these different pieces, but not the whole puzzle when it comes to our dreams. I personally think it's because some of that is not scientific, you know what I mean? I think a lot about dreams is kind of a spiritual thing that isn't factored in when it comes to scientific study, which is fine, but I think that's part of the reason we can't really figure everything out about dreams, as you'll see throughout the rest of the episode here. Luckily, it's becoming more common to have studies on dreaming and the way different drugs or medications or substances or practices affect our dreaming life and our recall. Cannabis is one of these, things that they've been studying more and more. So a recent study finally showed what a lot of veterans and survivors or people with PTSD have known for a really long time, which is that using cannabis at nighttime can not only help you fall asleep faster, it can help you sleep better and longer, but it also can shut off those vivid dreams and nightmares that plague so many people that are dealing with this problem. And this is really, really huge. So for those with PTSD and other lasting trauma, sleeping and dreaming can just be a minefield of pain. I mean, some people can't sleep at all. Some people, as soon as they fall asleep, they have recurring nightmares or night terrors. And this really affects their health, their mental health, but their health in general. Sleeping is very important. And so relief from those dreams is very important to them as well. This is why cannabis is so frequently used by people that are dealing with trauma, post-traumatic stress disorder, or anything that brings up these very vivid emotions and dreams and images, even in their waking life. That's exactly why. Luckily, there have been studies recently that actually show this in data, so that's very, very cool. But whether you have trauma or not, I mean, what if you're a regular cannabis user and maybe a witch and you want dreams? What do you do then? This is my problem. So I've been using cannabis regularly for almost 3 years now. And I have slowly over that time struggled more and more to dream. And I can't remember anything most of the time the next day. And this really sucks because I've always liked paying attention to my dreams. I'm not so good at analyzing, but I love paying attention to them. And like I said, I have had very psychic dreams in the past. They're just not, I don't have them every day, it's whenever I really, really need it. Usually when I end up having a psychic dream, it's something that my intuition has been trying to tell me in my waking life, and I'm either ignoring it or I'm just not getting it. And I'll end up having these very psychic dreams. So I want to make sure I still have access to that part of myself and to that part of my spirituality, right? And when I don't dream, especially lately, now that I'm really thinking about it all the time, I feel, I don't know, the only word I can use to describe how I feel about not dreaming is restless. Whenever I wake up and I can remember a dream that I had, I feel rested and I feel accomplished and I feel inspired and ready to start my day. And I really miss, in the morning ruminating over the symbols of the situations or the stories, the funny things that happen, the scary things that happen, the things that really stand out. And yes, in case you're wondering, I really miss having really fun, sexy dreams. Sexy dreams are so great because they're like a whole other field of dreaming, right? It's just, I miss all of that stuff. I miss dreaming. And so when I thought maybe it was my medication, but I started to see different articles pop up, and not just from High Times or broadly, but from genuine scientific sources, that cannabis can keep you from either experiencing your dreams or recalling them later. It can also make them much more vivid. They don't know exactly why. They think it's something to do with the different kinds of REM cycles we get into because of cannabis, or because of its psychoactive properties, or because of its relaxing effect on our brain. They're not quite sure. But they have found that for some people, not everyone, using cannabis regularly, chronically, especially right before bed, can affect your dreams. So, I wasn't willing to give cannabis up. I get so many benefits in my waking life, and it really outweighs the problem of dreaming, unfortunately. So I had to find another solution because I'm not willing to give up on the dreams. So I did some, experimenting and asking around, and I've got some really fun things that you can do before bed, even if you smoke or use it regularly, that could help get you back into the dream realm, physically and spiritually. I know it doesn't sound super fun, but the first place to start is by analyzing how you sleep. Not just how you dream, but how you sleep. I use an app called, Sleep Cycle. I use it for the alarm because I really like the way the alarm works. But the app is really cool because it gives me little readouts on like certain trends or sleep patterns. And I really like that. I think statistics are cool because, wow, as soon as I say it out loud, I'm like embarrassed. But I think statistics are cool. And I like knowing stuff like that. And it also lets me add little notes, if I exercised that day, if I had a productive work day, if I took vitamins, whatnot. If you have a smartphone or something fancy like a Fitbit, you can totally log all of this stuff as well. It probably does it automatically, like how your sleep quality is affected by the steps logged in your pedometer or the air pressure. My app is awesome because it tells me how my sleep patterns fluctuate by moon phase, which they do. They totally do. It's really wild. So it even gives me a little graph. It's so funny. Every month in the days leading up to and following the full moon, my sleep quality, it's like a stiff drop that goes down and then starts coming back up. I sleep fewer hours and my sleep is interrupted more often. I also seem to snore a little bit more during the full moon, which I've noticed because it marks that. It's so weird. I honestly had no idea. I had no idea that my sleep was so affected by the moon phase. But I mean, it even makes sense if you just consider that my bedroom window gets a lot of moonlight and it shines right in on my bed. And the nights when it's darkest outside, I sleep longer and I sleep deeper. That makes a lot of sense. I also personally feel really uncomfortable and kind of creeped out during the new moon when there's no moonlight. I'm not afraid of the dark, but I definitely feel uncomfortable in dark that's not illuminated by the moon. It's so specific and so weird. Like, I have to sleep in a dark ass cave in my room, but if I'm outside and it's dark and there's no moonlight, like, I totally get the willies. So during this time of month, I tend to spend more time cozy in my bed, wrapped up in my blanket. I tend to read and hang out in there a little bit more, I've noticed. So that's pretty interesting, right? I love my sleep app for this reason. In fact, I just love technology most of the time. I think stuff like this is really interesting. Likewise, I like just tracking my steps. I don't really care about how many I walk, but it's like fun to see. So, building off that totally not fun part of dream magic, I'm going to drive home the point here, and you're going to hate it, but dream journaling is the absolute best way to not only recall your dreams, but to track your sleeping and dreaming patterns and to pay attention to any signs and symbols. And I know, you hate it. I hate it. We all hate it. We hate being told to dream journal. We hate buying all these damn journals that we leave next to our bed that just collect dust. We hate it, and I get it. But it's just the best way. Journaling always sounds really cool, and unless you're someone who absolutely needs to write to live, taking that extra time can be really hard. And it can also be hard to stick with it. So it's okay if you look for things like an app instead of a notebook. Find an app. Make, like voice memos. You can always record a voice memo instead of writing it down, and then you can listen to that later. Just in whatever way that works for you to record your dreams, record any sort of pre-bed rituals, and record little things like, the moon or the air pressure, is great. It's the best way to work with your dreams. You can draw pictures, you can use point form, you can do a bullet journal, whatever. But it's the absolute best way. So, however you decide to record these dreams, it's not just about the dream, but add in things like your moon phase. If there's anything like an astrological event happening, if there's an eclipse, or if, the sun just moved into, super sexy Taurus, which it just did. If you used cannabis before bed, and in what way, if you smoked it, if you ate an edible, if it was CBD or THC dominant, if you took any vitamins or supplements or medications that day, and anything else that you think might be relevant. If you don't have dreams that you remember right away when you wake up, just write down how you felt when you woke up. Like, even if you don't remember anything about the dream, if you don't remember signs or symbols, but you woke up in a really weird mood or a really crappy mood, it's possible that you had a dream and you just don't remember it. Likewise, if you wake up feeling incredibly positive or inspired, you could have had a really, really interesting dream that, got that earworm in your head and got you thinking about something. How you feel when you wake up could indicate what kind of dream you have. And in general, this will just train your brain to think more about your dreams, to connect them with your emotions. And subconsciously, if you make it a habit, your brain will just remember more and more because it's something that you're focusing on, something that you're putting importance on. That's kind of how our brains work sometimes. Constantly does stuff we don't tell it to or that we're not aware of, but sometimes you really can work with it. So I mentioned vitamins and supplements. And did you know that there are a whole bunch of natural chemicals on our planet that affect our dream state? And I don't just mean magically. I'm not just saying a magical incense, but physically can affect our sleep and can affect our ability to dream or remember our dreams. If you already take melatonin before bed, congratulations, you are a step ahead already. Melatonin is known to make dreams more vivid and much easier to recall the next day. Some people actually say that their dreams are more bizarre and symbolic if they take the melatonin before bed. So what melatonin is it's a naturally occurring hormone in our brain. We create melatonin ourselves. And it affects our sleep patterns and like the times we go to sleep and how long we stay asleep. All of that is affected by melatonin. And it's sold over the counter to help you reset your internal clock and as a sleep aid. So you take it before bed and it helps you fall asleep. But if you take it at the same time every night, it will reset your sleep clock so you're falling asleep at that time. You can also take a really large amount of melatonin with no ill effects, except maybe you'll sleep a little later the next day. So, keep an eye on that. One thing that I will always warn people with melatonin is if you are someone who wakes up in the middle of the night, make sure you're taking melatonin that has some sort of extended release to keep you asleep longer. Because let's say you take melatonin tonight and you end up waking up randomly at 3 a.m. Even if you don't take melatonin tomorrow, even if you do take melatonin tomorrow, you will wake up at 3 a.m. and you might not be able to get back to asleep. When I wake up in the middle of the night when I've taken melatonin, getting back to sleep is damn near impossible. I literally have to wait hours for my brain to get tired again. It doesn't matter if I even take more melatonin. It's odd. So that's the only warning I really have about melatonin, but I've asked doctors and my pharmacist, and there are no ill effects to taking a lot of melatonin. Whatever we really don't need, our body will just naturally filter out like it does with a lot of other hormones and vitamins and all of that kind of stuff. Another vitamin that you could try is vitamin B6, and this can increase the vividness of your dreams, and it can help you remember them if you take it right before you go to sleep on its own. And there's actually been research on this. Unfortunately, not a lot of foods are high in B6, so you kind of have to take the vitamin. But what's great about B6 is that it's easy on your stomach. It doesn't have any sort of like, you don't feel it in there or anything. And it's easy to find. Small little pills, all of that. What they found is in these studies, if you take about 250 milligrams or more right before you're going to bed, this is going to have an effect on your dreams. In my personal experience, taking melatonin and B6 together is kind of the ultimate weird, vivid dream combo, and has always been. Even before I started smoking cannabis, if I took melatonin and B6, my dreams were wild, just off the charts, and very, very vivid. B6 also, what you'll see on that bottle of B6 is that it helps you process your foods better. So it actually helps you get more energy and nutrients out of the foods you eat. So it's not like it's doing anything bad to you either. The dreams are kind of a happy accident. It's the icing on the cake. But B6 is actually a really great vitamin to take regularly. So if you're someone who's more into herbal supplements, or you don't take vitamins, or if you like tea a lot, there's lots of those that also have these physical effects. And some of these herbs will appear later when I mention magical herbs, but they also have physical effects. And the first is my fave, mugwort. And mugwort is a very magical herb, but smoking or drinking tea of mugwort before bed can have a great effect on your vividness and recall of your dreams. A lot of lucid dreamers also swear that it helps them actually take the control in their dreams. Beyond just recognizing they're in a dream, they're able to change things more in their dream when they use mugwort. You can mix it in with your cannabis and smoke them together. Very, very cool. You can also do this when you're awake. Mugwort won't make you fall asleep. It just, it will make you a little bit more exciting in your dream state. And I actually have, I will post a link in the description to some of my favorite mugwort teas. They're made by the Forest Witch, Mia. And the Dark Moon Honeybush tea for like a long time was my witchy tea of choice. Definitely. It was dark. It was like a dark purpley red color. It was really, really rich and kind of fruity, but also very mugworty. And I really, really liked it. I might have to get another bag. So I'm going to post a link to that in the description. Another one is valerian. Again, valerian is sold in capsules over the counter to help you fall asleep. It's one of the most effective herbs for treating insomnia, and they even use, synthesized chemical parts of valerian in pharmaceutical sleep aids, so, your Ambiens and whatnot. It helps you fall asleep, and it helps you sleep really deeply. It doesn't have a huge effect on your dreams until you combine it with some of these other things. So if you combine it with melatonin or the B6, because your sleep is so much deeper, it contributes to how well you dream, I guess is the way to say it. Like I said, you can get it in capsules or little pills, but cats also love valerian, the plant. So if you want to have a growing plant and then, harvest the roots for yourself to make your own tea, that kind of sounds like a win-win situation to me, because having a cat nearby, just purring, that's a sleep aid for me, for sure. It's like ASMR. If you drink bedtime tea blends, you might have wondered why peppermint is in there, since it's so peppy. Peppermint to me is very refreshing and peppy, and it's kind of a wake-up herb, so I always thought it was kind of odd. But it's because peppermint, it helps your body and your muscles relax. It relieves tension in your body in a physical way. This helps you fall asleep and helps you have a much, much more restful night of sleep. It's also known, if you drink just peppermint tea on its own, to help make your dreams very odd, very weird, very bizarre. So, drink up. That's super fun. I don't love the taste of peppermint tea, even though I love peppermint, but I might try this, actually. I didn't know that about peppermint. That's really cool. There are also a bunch of commercially made supplements that are specifically made for dream recall or inducing lucid dreaming. And I'm serious about this. Like, there's a bunch out there. You're probably not going to find them in your local, Shoppers or Walgreens or whatever. But They are out there on the internet. And these include things like the vitamins and supplements, and also herbs like chamomile and passion flower and other chemicals like tryptophan that help you relax, that can help induce your dream state, or that can help you just take control of your dreams a little bit more. So again, I'll put a link in the description. The Lucid Dream Society has a really great list full of reviews about these supplements, reviews, tips, all sorts of things to help you start using those, and to use a few of the herbs and stuff that I said as well. So that's pretty cool. And these should really affect your dreams, even if you're using the cannabis before bed. Something really neat about these vitamins and supplements that help you sleep or that help you dream are also recommended for people who take medications for depression or anxiety to increase the effectiveness of the medication. It's because a lot of them are instrumental in creating serotonin in our brains. So melatonin, vitamin B6, tryptophan, and vitamin B5, these all help our brains create serotonin. According to my pharmacist, this isn't just like silly, like Google searching. This was my pharmacist that told me this. And likewise, when our serotonin levels in our brains increase, so do our melatonin levels, which makes our sleep even better. Isn't that interesting? Doesn't that really just make you wonder just how strong the connection between our mental health and dreaming specifically really is? We all know that good sleep is essential for our brain. I mean, if you've ever stayed up for like 24 hours straight or pulled an all-nighter, you know for a fact that if you don't sleep, you go wacky. So I'm starting to wonder how important dreaming really is, because we don't know. We don't know if there's long-term lasting effects if you don't have dreams, if you never recall your dreams. We just don't know. Because who's going to pay money to study that kind of thing, right? Wild. For some people, another herb that makes their dreams very vivid and very memorable is cannabis. Of course. So I put out a couple of surveys on the topic of dreaming cannabis. And the answers I got were so interesting, and I got a lot of responses. I think I'm actually going to duplicate this and put it out again, because it's so cool. Out of 100 responses, 55%, which is 55 witches, said that they don't think that cannabis has affected their dreaming life at all. A few of them actually noted that I didn't think it affected my dreaming life, but I'm starting to think maybe now it does. 23% said that it actually makes their dreams more vivid and much easier for them to remember. 17 people, like me, said that it does stop them from dreaming and that they really hate that effect. They don't like it. And then 6 very lovely individuals shared that it has made them stop dreaming, and that that's exactly what they need and one of the main reasons they use it. Almost every one of that 6 that shared that they have PTSD or survivors of abuse or trauma told me that dreams can be really painful or frightening, that they went through a period of nightmares and they weren't able to sleep at all. And so cannabis has served as a godsend as far as turning off that dreaming part of their brain has been. And I thought that was really interesting, because that's so important to the people that need that. So important. Another interesting thing was that the people who shared that they've been having psychic dreams their whole lives almost always said that those dreams, those psychic dreams, haven't decreased in frequency or changed at all. Not at all. They have fewer mundane dreams, but that these psychic dreams still definitely come through. I actually know someone in my regular life who is a chronic cannabis user and has been for years, and she smokes it. And when I was, talking to her about this, she could not believe that cannabis made anyone stop dreaming, because that's never been her experience. She's never stopped dreaming, and she's never felt like the veracity. It's her dreaming life is exactly the same. Caveat here is that she's a wickedly psychic woman who doesn't really use her psychic abilities, but she has She has this whole little team of like ghosts and guides and stuff that kind of follow her around. And it's to the point that regular people notice that there's something spooky and haunted. Not haunted in a bad way, but kind of spooky around her all the time. People in her regular life that don't believe in ghosts have accepted that there are ghosts that follow her. So she also found that when she does remember a dream in its entirety, it's usually important and it usually has some sort of psychic or prophetic message. Really cool, right? So throughout the survey, I noticed that lots of people who have been having these psychic or lucid dreams since a very young age have never stopped, unless that's something that they needed to. And this tells me that although cannabis can affect our dreams, its effect on our psychic or spiritual dreams might actually be very, very different completely for everyone. So, and it makes sense because I don't think divinity, your guides or spirits or ancestors or fairies or whatever is reaching out to you. It makes sense to me that they wouldn't be blocked by a natural herb that has magical amplification type qualities. You know what I mean? I have a whole post on my website called It's Cushcraft about cannabis, and I describe cannabis as sort of like an herbal quartz crystal, where it can be used for almost anything, and its main power is amplifying magical ability and opening us up to things. So that's why it's very odd, I think, to a lot of magical people to think that it could block out these dreams. But to know that its effects don't necessarily reach our psychic or magical or lucid selves, it's not very surprising, but it is very interesting. So I conducted some magical experiments on myself, just me. So I'm going to need more data, but I conducted some magical experiments to help increase my dreams and my dream recall without kind of working against cannabis or giving it up, and without hating it so much. Because the more frustrated that I've gotten recently about not dreaming because of the cannabis specifically has made me very resentful towards the plant. And so I find myself in my waking life lately, when I'm sitting there smoking or whatever it is that I do, taking a gummy bear, sometimes I'll be like, ugh, stupid cannabis. It's going to make me not have a dream tonight, I guess, but I'll have a good day. That's not really such a cool mood for sleep or for magic or, for being in a good mood. It's just not fun. So I really needed to find a way around this, right? I started by adding melatonin and vitamin B6 to my going to bed routine. So 5 minutes before I go to bed, on my way, when I'm getting a glass of water or whatever, I'll take a little melatonin and I will take at least 250 grams. I don't know if it's milligrams or micrograms or whatever, but 250 mg of vitamin B6. And when I wake up, when I remember to do that, because it's not every night that I remember to take these things, but when I wake up, I could remember that I had had a dream. I had had at least one, but I couldn't remember anything about it. It was just a feeling when I woke up. You know what I mean? Like a feeling that's attached to a memory, but you can't actually pull the memory up in your mind. But you know it's there and you feel it. It's one of those things that might be on the tip of your tongue if you're trying to describe it, or your brain, but you can't actually grab at it. That's what I felt when I took the melatonin and the B6 before bed. And what that told me is that I was dreaming. I just couldn't remember it the next day. And that's cool because that's something I can use magic on. So, so this is when I decided to add magic, inject a little magic into this puppy and really hit the gas. I'm excited. Very excited about how this worked. The first thing I considered is a dream pillow, my favorite standby. But when I thought about it, I was pretty sure that it wasn't that any potential messages weren't coming to me or weren't available. It's just that either they couldn't stick in my brain or that I just couldn't access them when I was awake. Dream pillows are really about drawing those messages to you or sending out a message, depending how you use it. And that's not really what I needed, right? Those messages were clearly coming in anyways. So, before I continue, full disclosure, a company called HERBIVORE, which makes natural skincare products, they reached out to me a little while ago asking if they could send me a sample of a facial oil that they were making that's made with hemp oil and a new version that has CBD in it. CBD is another chemical within the cannabis plant, like THC, but it doesn't have those psychoactive properties. It has different properties that are good for more physical things. So it's good for calming and anti-inflammation and easing pain, that kind of thing. They also wanted to interview me a little bit about using cannabis in witchy ritual, which worked out super well because I was already kind of planning this this episode, and this gave me a great way to experiment. And I'm really glad they did, because I'm now fully obsessed with their entire line of products. And yeah, you can get them at Sephora. I really recommend this face oil too, especially if you have any redness, or like my cheeks get really kind of tore up in the cold weather. They just get really, really dry and kind of bumpy a little bit, I guess, and red, and that has gone down a lot. Same with the kind of red spot on my chest where I always get my first suntan or sunburn. It's called Emerald CBD. Putting the Emerald CBD on there has also made that a little less noticeable, I guess. It's not quite so red. So anyway, sorry. This Emerald CBD oil is really, really great moisturizer. I liked it. But the thing that I love the most about it is the smell. Oh my God. This oil smells like real growing cannabis plants. The smell of burning weed, or even just, the dried flower, is so much different than the smell of a still growing plant. And that makes sense, I hope, but it's true. It's very different. You can tell that it's cannabis or that it's weed, but it has a different kind of smell just because it's alive and it's growing. So this oil smells like, that flower, as well as the leaves, the stalk, and even a little bit of the dirt it's growing in. It smells very, very green. It also smells, I don't want to say wet, but it smells like growing, like it's growing. And I know a farmer, and I've been in the presence of growing cannabis plants. So trust me on this. That's what it smells like. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And I really, really love it. So when I smelled that and all of that, I decided that using this oil in magical ways, awesome experiment. I got great results, by the way. But cannabis is a really, really great psychic herb. So I figured using it, combining it with any sort of magical ritual that I do before bed, in addition to moisturizing my face with it, not only can it not hurt, but it was worth a shot, right? Cannabis is known to work this way. So before bed, I started taking just a little drop of the oil and anointing my third eye on my brow and my crown chakra on the top of my head. Just a drop, not a lot. And concentrating on opening these magical channels where dreams are filtered through. I also, I talked to the plant a little bit, like, hi, cannabis, saying how grateful I was for everything that it does and how much I love it, and just kind of tried to connect, tried to be nice to the cannabis instead of feeling resentful. And the smell, it's so beautiful. It brought up this nice clear picture of a big growing plant with the purple leaves that I really love in my mind. And it was tall and it was full and it was just, living its lovely life. And I'm not a super visual visualizer. So that's definitely different. And it was awesome. Awesome. When I crawled into bed, I got all cozy and decided I was going to do just a little bit of meditation, like literally 10 minutes. So I crawled into bed and I decided to put an amethyst. I have one that's in the shape of a little tiny skull and I like it. And I put it on my third eye, like right in the spot where the oil was, which didn't hurt the crystal, by the way. Some crystals are not good with oil, but amethyst is fine. And I really just focused on calming down, not looking at my phone, not thinking about the day, not trying to turn off my brain, but trying to focus it more on sleeping and dreaming. And when I shut my eyes that first night, instead of darkness and, some sparkles that look like stars, that thing we all see when we shut our eyes, I saw this, it's hard to describe, but it's a triangle or a pyramid, and it's just this shape that's just constantly coming toward me. Not something scary, just, it's like I'm walking through a pyramid-shaped tunnel. And I'm not seeing anything. I see the darkness and this triangle and that same kind of muted light that you see when you close your eyes. But I'm definitely moving forward through this triangle tunnel. This is not something that's ever happened to me before. That's not like a common experience. And I didn't think of it. It just happened. So I just totally leaned into it. And I continued down that tunnel until I fell asleep. And all that while I was telling myself, like, I'm going to have a dream tonight. It's going to be great. And I got the idea to say, I'll be able to recognize that I'm in the dream and I'll be able to remember it later if I see my cat. His name's Clover. He was snuggled up next to me. It was just a last minute idea. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see Clover in my dream and I'm going to see him and I'm going to recognize, ooh, cool. I'm in my dream. And the next morning, I'll remember that I saw him if I do. The next morning, you better believe, the second I woke up, I knew I had a dream, an entire dream. I kept my eyes shut. I grabbed that amethyst that I had used the night before, squeezed it real tight, and wrote down everything I remembered in point form. And you better believe that little cat was by my side the whole dream. And my dreams jump locations a lot. I'm sure some other people's do as well, or a lot of other people's. But, I was in 3 different, I guess you could say, locations or situations in this dream. None of them were places where a cat would hang. And, so he wasn't just there. And that little cat was right next to me every time. And I would just hear a little meow, and I'd look down, and there he is. I've never had an experience like that in my life. I thought maybe it was a one-time fluke, you know what I mean? Because it's so wild. But when I've recreated this bedtime ritual, done the same thing, taken the melatonin and the B6, put a little bit of oil on my head, and when I lay down, I just think, okay, I'm going to have a dream tonight. I will see that same pyramid hallway in my mind's eye and follow it straight into dreamland. And every time I do this, I remember a little bit more and a little bit more of the dreams. The more I've done it now, I can make some notes in sentences instead of just single points. I still don't remember all my dreams. I only remember one, and it's not in its entirety. I don't have the whole story, but I'm definitely dreaming more, or at least remembering them more, remembering more of the symbols, remembering more of the dream itself, and remembering more of what the dream was about. This was a really cool first experiment, right? It really worked. So I thought about it, and the theory I came up with about why this worked so well is that I had finally stopped fighting against cannabis and against the spirit of the plant. I was no longer feeling that resentment about the cannabis keeping me from dreaming, but was instead excited and happy to be working with cannabis in this different way. And it sounds a little bit like, woo, and at the risk of sounding like Disney's version of Pocahontas, I know every rock and tree and creature has a life and a spirit and a name. Colors of the Wind was my fucking jam. I don't care what anyone says. So working with magical herbs in general really requires a respect for the power and the energy of the plant, but you also have to connect with that plant. I feel very connected to certain plants and feel disconnected from others. I love mugwort, and I can make it grow, and I can bring it back from the dead. I love having it. I love touching the leaves. I love the way it smells. I love everything about it. But whenever I try to grow lavender, which I definitely really love, that thing dies right away. And I don't know why. I've tried everything. I've followed all the instructions. I've gotten living lavender plants from friends. I've tried seeds. I've tried everything. And lavender and I just do not connect in terms of growing. The dried form, totally. I can bring the smell up in my mind right now, and I love it. But I can't grow it. And that is because of how I've connected to the spirit of the plant. And in general, I just, now I feel a greater connection to cannabis as a plant, not just, as weed, but as a plant, a magical plant. In general, now that I've been working with this particular oil in this way. So this is a facial moisturizer, but it now sits on my altar with my other magical oils. And in the future, I'm definitely going to have to keep some on hand. I might actually have to get another bottle that's just for my face so that I don't run out really fast. I've also started using it when I'm awake, right, for a magical oil. Like if I'm reading tarot or if I'm going to be doing something magical, I'll put a drop of oil on any of the chakras, even one point on, each. Or I'll rub some into my hands. I'll put it on a crystal I'm using. Just whatever. And since I've started doing this, I've been casting more spells in general. So I started doing this before my previous episode, the spell casting episode. And I've been casting spells left and right. And, oh boy, are they extra effective. I'm seeing instant results. Instant. And it's remarkably different. It's a very different energy and connection than I've ever felt using cannabis as an herb in my magic. So very, very cool. Now, there are lots of different ways to get cannabis oil, hemp oil, CBD oil, and they might not all smell like this one does. Like I experimented with this oil specifically. I didn't have any others. But I'm sure you could try the same exercise if you already have a topical cannabis oil of some kind. CBD, there's a small amount in this because it's to help with redness and inflammation on the surface of your skin there, as well as moisturization. But you can get stronger CBD topicals or tinctures that are specifically for easing pain and things like that. It might make you tingle a little bit, which is really fun. So you can always use some of that on your third eye or your crown or your sacral chakra, which is the seat of your intuition. And that's kind of, between your solar plexus and your genitals, between your root and your solar plexus. So sometime near your belly button there. And you can use it that way as well. Likewise, if you do grow your own cannabis plants, keep some of those leaves instead of tossing them in the compost when harvest time comes. And, use that fresh leaf to connect or open your third eye. You can put that leaf right on your head while you're sleeping. You can also take the leaves and, while they're still fresh and juicy, grind them up in a mortar and pestle. And what you have there is a paste, like a cannabis poultice. And you and you can put that on your third eye or your crown or wherever. Fun, right? I think so. I'm very excited about this whole experiment and this whole experience. And I'm really grateful to Herbivore for giving me the chance to explore that and for sending me the oil for free. They also sent me like a credit to their online store, and I went nuts. I have an episode of Secrets Corner coming up, and I'm actually going to show off some of that stuff because they have a body scrub with real amethyst crushed up in it and all this kind of stuff. Really fun. So again, I'll put a link to that in the description. Let's talk about my survey a little bit. So, like I said, I put out this survey and I got more than 100 answers. And I asked the respondents to my survey if they do anything special, if dream work is a part of their practice, and if there was anything interesting that they wanted to share about this. And it was all anonymous, so I don't have names and only numbers. So respondent number 48 was probably my favorite. They identified as a, practicing eclectic witchcraft, just regular witchcraft, as well as Andean shamanic traditions and practices from their Métis lineage. And that dream work is a very important part of their practice. I'm not shocked at all. The indigenous people all over North and South America, almost every single one of those cultures has something to do with dreams. You've all seen a dream catcher, right? That's not... White people didn't invent that. So in general, if you're interested in dream work or beliefs about dreams, looking into good sources of information from North American or South American native populations is a really cool and interesting place to start. So respondent 48, when I asked if dream work is a regular part of their practice, I got the coolest response. So they said, yes, dream body is always doing its thing, gathering information, gathering teachings from spirit. I record my dreams in a journal as much as I can and have since I was a teenager, and I'm 38 now. In Andean tradition, I empower a dream kuya, which is a stone, and I place it on the land to help me get all the energy I need from it. Also, blowing that energy into water after a dream helps, and I drink the water after. Dream interpretation is based on my personal symbolism. I invoke my personal helpers before I go to sleep every night. And if you're looking for books, Robert Moss's books are excellent to learn more about the group dreaming stuff. So cool. There was a bunch of stuff in there I had to look up. So Robert Moss, I have since learned, is the mind behind a practice called active dreaming. That includes shamanic spirituality with energy work and with dream work. He's got a lot of books on the subject. I can't tell you which ones to go for specifically, but they're great. Or they sound great, I mean. And I'll definitely be checking those out. I also looked up what the kuya is for more info. They said it's a stone. I wanted to learn a little bit more. I'm so behind on my Andean shamanic traditions. So what I found from one website is that students earn these stones as they participate in rites and initiations during the course of their training in this shamanic tradition. Each stone, known as a kuya, which is Khuya, represents a wound that has been transformed into a source of wisdom and courage. Later, in their own practice, they use these kuyas in energy medicine sessions for helping others. And that is like just one of the most incredible and beautiful things I've ever read in my entire life. Talk about connecting with the spirits of the natural items that you use in your magical practices. That's incredible. Incredible. And something I'm definitely going to be researching more. And I think you should research it more too, because it's very interesting. And in general, ancient Mesoamerican cultures have some of the coolest and most beautiful spiritual practices, also some of the most bloody, so I mean, tit for tat, that really honor the land that they live on and the sky that they look up to and what those provide for them and mean for their lives. And it's fantastic. It's really fantastic. This respondent here also stated that they do take supplements for the purpose of dream work and increasing their dream. Awesome. Respondent number 58 said that before bed, they spend time being guided with a combination of homemade edibles that are made from coconut oil capsules and dabbing. They also listen to music featuring binaural beats, and this is a big help with herbs, essential oils, and my candles. I also use sage and incense. They mention that cannabis specifically makes their dreams more vivid and easier to remember, so they use it right before bed for this purpose. Like she said, combination of homemade edibles and dabbing. Very, very interesting. A few respondents mentioned that they noticed if they stop smoking, 2 to 3 hours before bed, they will definitely notice an uptick in dream activity. This makes sense, considering it's long been known, or a joke even, High Time's been writing about it forever, that if you take a break or if you stop using cannabis altogether, your dreams might become a little wacky and bizarre and more vivid for a time after you stop smoking. And it's because they're busting through the gates, right? So that definitely makes sense. I think that's really cool. Actually, everything I learned from this survey is just so neat. Like I said, I'm still compiling all this data and learning from it. I'm so excited that this went so well. One respondent, who is a trauma survivor, uses cannabis to help relax before bed and has found that relaxing effect actually makes their dreams easier to pay attention to and to analyze the next day. Anxiety can really, really affect what kinds of dreams you have and how you process that dream. So I'm not super surprised. If you're very, very anxious or you're afraid, your dreams will no doubt be very chaotic and fearful. So that makes sense. But this is the one person out of that 6 who indicated that they're a trauma survivor who actually likes to actively dream. They make sure that they dream. all the others feel that not experiencing their dreams, which were very painful after whatever it is that they went through, is better for them. It's better for their life, it's better for their sleep, and it's better for their spiritual practice. I respect that. This person uses their dreams as a guide for their spiritual practice and, just daily life, and is lucid enough during her dreams to change the location if things get scary. Very interesting. Apparently they live in Tokyo, and that is their safe and their happy place. So if they're in a dream and it's very frightening, they're able to consciously move the location of the dream to their home territory to feel more comfortable. That's amazing. This is this is fantastic. And honestly, I think anyone could practice doing something like that in their dreams. Never discount the home court advantage. So if you ever realize that you're in a dream and it's kind of scary, you're in the middle of a spooky dark wood with trees that are grabbing at you like you're in, Ichabod Crane. Instead, move yourself to the park near your house or the favorite restaurant, whatever. That could definitely make the entire dream change and be much easier for you to go through. That was really neat. Respondent number 21 also gave a really, really interesting answer. They said, I connect with my maternal ancestors in my dreams, which informs my spirituality and magical practices, but I don't control or command those dreams. They arrive when needed. Although I regularly pray and speak to my ancestors while awake as part of my daily spiritual practice, and I pray to them before pulling tarot or receiving healing work or therapy. Neat, right? So it's like their questions and their reaching out during the day is being answered at nighttime by the dreams. Isn't that cool? They also remarked that they have more vivid dreams on days when they haven't consumed any cannabis at all, and that their method of ingestion really affects their dreams. Apparently for this person, CBD has increased meaningful and psychic dreaming and messages, but has decreased their nightmares or anything in it that they felt used to cause anxiety. This makes sense. THC is a psychoactive compound. So for people with anxiety, sometimes that has a bad effect. If you ever meet someone who says, I can't use cannabis because I get incredibly paranoid and anxious, that's true. It can really have that effect. CBD doesn't have that psychoactive element to it, so it tends to be better for anxiety, which is why when I take, I like gummy bears, a little edible, and I use ones that have THC and CBD, and I find it really, really helps my mental state. So that's an interesting thing about CBD specifically. They also remarked that, what did they say? The method of ingestion, smoking has a more detrimental effect on dreams than edibles or some of these other people who use CBD or an oil. Neat. So like I said, I got a lot of responses to that survey, and man, I actually think, like I said, I'm putting out a duplicate because this is really, really interesting, and I got so much data. I might make a little blog post with a bunch of charts and graphs just because I love my statistics. But it was very, very informative, and the most important thing that I learned through this whole survey is that magical and spiritual dreams, even lucid dreams, probably will not be inhibited by cannabis use, or at least not entirely, and that magical or spiritual work before bed can affect your dreams and what you remember from them, which is exactly what I wanted to find out. Yay! I hope it's not just confirmation bias, but this is very exciting. Like I said, I had a very profound experience with a combination of a little bit of meditation, my sketchy herbs and magic rocks, and some natural supplements and vitamins. I'm still working on it. I'm still building up my dream life. But thinking about it, focusing on it, and forming a closer relationship or a better relationship with cannabis has really made a huge impact on my sleeping and dreaming kind of in general. I'm really excited about this. I've never used cannabis in any other way but smoking, right? Because it was illegal. Now that it's legal, there are so many different ways for me to explore working with this plant, including growing it or working with oils like this. So I'm really, really excited to continue to work with it in this way and find new magical ways to work with cannabis. So let's recap here. We've got you analyzing your sleep patterns. We've got some physical ways to increase the dream activity in your brain, and some magical ways to open your third eye and access your dream world. The next step is analyzing those dreams later in your waking life to get the full message. To prepare for this, I've looked at no less, I swear, than 50 dream dictionaries, like just so many. And what I learned, first of all, they're all different, but they're all interesting. They can all be very helpful. But ultimately, that the symbols in your dreams are incredibly personal. Not only were a lot of these dream dictionaries that you find written by people who are not actually witchy or spiritual, a lot of them are more into psychology, but they're written for the average person who is not witchy or spiritual. What seeing amethyst in a dream means to someone who never works with amethyst or, has only seen it in jewelry will be very different than what it means to someone who works with amethyst in spiritual practice. Interpreting dream symbols is a lot like interpreting a tarot card. There's a general meaning in a book that you can find, and it might be universal to every single deck. But how you perceive the image and the message on that card with your own mind or intuition is just as important as that meaning, if not more so. And the longer you read tarot, the more adept you get at it, the less you have to look at that book, and not because you've memorized it, but because you're trusting your intuition more when you're reading the cards. Dreaming is kind of the same way, I think, interpreting symbols. It's okay to start out with a book and the list of meanings for your cards or for your dream symbols, what have you. But do not ever limit yourself to that message, especially if it's like one sentence. You're getting a tweet and you should be getting an email. You have to be open to receiving messages, even if there's something you might not understand right away, even if it's something that really only applies to you. And this is the real reason that dream journaling is so important, and it's because you should be creating your own dream dictionary. Very important. So let's stick with our amethyst example. The dream dictionary I ended up buying is 12,000 Dreams Interpreted by Gustavus Hindman Miller. It's an updated version of, the first dream dictionary that was put out like almost 100 years ago. Very, very cool. That's why I bought it, because I think it's neat. I also bought a matching dream journal that I have not used at all. So, so in here, I had a dream about amethyst, right? And I decided to look it up. In the book, it says to dream of amethyst means contentment in business, or it could indicate that this dream is a dream of healing. And that makes sense. And actually, contentment in business is probably what I was dreaming about when I look at what else I was in the dream. This makes sense. Amethyst is beautiful. It's in a lot of jewelry. It's kind of fancy, and it's a stone of healing. But there's a lot more. That's one little sentence. Start thinking about amethyst in your waking life. Is amethyst maybe the birthstone of someone in your life or even yourself? Have you ever had strong experiences with amethyst? Were you starting to think about working it into your practice, or maybe getting some amethyst for yourself? Maybe you've generally been working on increasing psychic abilities, opening your third eye and your crown chakra. Amethyst is great for all of that. It's also known as the stone of sobriety and healing from addiction. So dreaming about amethyst the day you start, like a treatment program or a rehab, probably isn't about contentment in business. It could be, though healing is pretty on the nose there. But what that means is it's no doubt a positive sign in that you've made the right choice, and that the strength to heal is either within you already or it's at your disposal. And those are all such vastly different meanings, and they won't apply to every single person. And that's why, unfortunately, I do not have a really nice, perfect dream dictionary that I can recommend 100% to everybody, because it's all very subjective. But what I did do, partly for fun and partly to help, is through research I came up with some good definitions for some really fun witchy symbols that could pop up in your dreams. Okay, so I've got, what do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I got 5 symbols. And they're all witchy. So first is brooms, the ultimate witchy symbol. If you dream of a new broom, getting a new broom, this could symbolize new endeavors or new home or some really good financial boost coming to your finances to do with your home. To see a broom in use or sweeping, that spiritual cleansing is necessary right now. You know, there's something in your environment that needs to go, and you have the tool to clear it out. If you dream of a broom, you know, suddenly falling and hit the floor, don't laugh at me. Company's probably coming. You might recognize this from Practical Magic, the film. And I've noticed that in real life, the broom doesn't always fall because company's coming. Sometimes I hit it with my ass. But in dreams, if I dream about falling brooms, I definitely dream of company coming. And it's probably because that scene is very distinctive if you've seen it. As soon as I said if a broom falls, I know some of you said, company's coming. It's true. A broom in flight could mean literal travel. It could also indicate movement or progression that involves magic. Or it could indicate that now is a good time to be open about your witchy side and to use it in a situation where you would normally be too scared to do so. It's like telling you to come out of the broom closet and be seen, because being seen as a witch right now is something that you need. It might not be in a very public setting. Don't come into work and be like, I'm a witch, and lose your job. But if you have a situation in your life right now where you're thinking, oh, I could totally help this person, but they don't know that I'm a witch, and they probably wouldn't like my witchy help. No, they would. And it's probably really good for you to make it known to that person. You have no idea what's going to happen, right? So those are brooms. Cauldrons, another great witchy symbol. To dream of an empty cauldron means that your spiritual or your creative energy is depleted. You've used it up. And it's important that you either rest up or start the process of refilling that empty cauldron. A full cauldron is abundance and blessings. It could be financial, or it could be about your home. The cauldron is a very strong home symbol, or it could also be about creativity and magic. Cauldrons are not only symbols of the home and of abundance and prosperity there, but it's the cauldron of creativity and magic that was looked over by... It's not Rihanna. Is it Caradwen who has the magic cauldron? I believe so. Celtic goddess. I can't always remember them because their names are hard for me to pronounce. Gaelic is one of the hardest languages in the whole world, I tell you. So cauldrons can definitely be a symbol of creativity and magic. The rest of your dream should tell you a little bit more about the context there. To dream of 3, or more witches working together in a cauldron, Macbeth style, could be a dream about Macbeth, or it could be telling you that you need to reach out for help in this situation, or that it's time for you to find your people. People will say tribe. I don't really say tribe, but it's time for you to find other people that you can trust, that you can work with, and whose lives should be intertwined. Depending on what's cooking in your cauldron, it could also be a warning. So if it looks poisonous, or it's scary, or it smells really noxious in your dream, be wary that someone or something is trying to cause you harm or is working against you actively right now. I don't like to be too scary, but that's legit. Witches. Yeah, to dream of witches is very interesting as a witch, because it always means something completely different. Someone who's not a witch and who's, thinks of all witches like the Wicked Witch of the West, witches are scary. To me, I love witches. I love witchy everything, right? And so witches would be like a really powerful symbol. But I have definitely had incredibly vivid and very important dreams that involved witches that were scary and that were trying to hurt me. This means a lot. This is one of those ones, if you dream of witches and you are a witch, your own feelings about witches or witchcraft will influence this symbol a lot. To me, whether the witches are bad or good in my dream is often a message about how I think or relate to myself, to my own power, to how I'm coping right now, to how much I trust myself or my magic. For others, it can be a message about other people and how they interact. And, those witches could represent others, or they could represent the way people see you as a witch. Dreaming of a full coven is almost always a good sign, as long as everything else in it is, contextually not scary. Dreaming of a coven is wonderful, because this could indicate that you're exactly where you need to be, and that you are supported in both the physical and spiritual sense right now. It could also be a prophetic dream. It could mean that soon you'll be meeting someone who will have a tremendous spiritual effect on you, or even your actual coven, for those who are looking for a group. Dreaming of a coven is an excellent sign. And from there, I would make notes of every detail about the coven that you could see. What are the people like? What are they doing? How do they practice? There's no way for me to tell you exactly what it'll mean the whole time. But there's lots of symbolism in dreaming about witches as a witch. A lot. Dreaming of astrology is actually pretty super straightforward, according to almost all the dream dictionaries I read. So if you dream of having your birth chart interpreted, you should get your birth chart interpreted. You don't necessarily have to go to a professional. Even doing it online is okay. But there is some information in your birth chart right now that you need, and that's the place that you can get it. Other elements of the dream could point to exactly what you need to learn more about, like if you dream about a certain planet or a certain sign or a certain house. If you're in a specific astrological house, these represent areas of your life, and that area of your life needs attention. It could be really positive attention. Maybe you need to spend more time enjoying that area of your life, or maybe it's something that you need to back away from a little bit. Not so bad. If you dream of gazing at the stars or of constellations, of looking up at the sky, it means that you're looking for something and you're not finding it. But the reason you're not finding it is because you're not looking out beyond your comfort zone or your own limitations. We all have limitations, boundaries, comfort zones. It's time for you to look beyond that. And that's where you'll find whatever answer it is that you're looking for. And finally, we have cannabis. To dream of the sketchiest herb of all, it could mean a lot of different things. It could mean that you just like cannabis. But if you're dreaming of smoking or buying cannabis, or hashish, as it's called in all these dream dictionaries, which is cute, this foretells good fortune and smooth sailing in whatever your dream is about. To dream of selling the cannabis on the black market could foretell shady dealings or money trouble, even if everything seems to be going okay. It could also mean that any of your business dealings that you're involved in are going to be brought to the light because they absolutely need to be. That might be positive or negative. Depends on your business dealings. To dream of the plant itself growing in a dream, this is about manifestation. Manifesting whatever it is that you're trying to manifest right now. So if you're looking at the plant, it's really full of flowers and buds, which are the psychoactive and, I guess you could say, more financially important part of the plant. This indicates that something that you're trying to manifest is doing super well, and that you're coming to the point to reap that reward. It's harvest time, y'all, and it's time to get all that good shit. If the plant is ill or is dying, it means the opposite. To dream of a plant that is more leaf than flower, aka the male version of the plant, this is telling you that you're on the right track. But you've either left something out or maybe just took a wrong turn, and it's okay. All is not lost, friend. You just need to adjust your plan a little bit. Something along the way put you off course, and it's time to realign yourself with the right course. To dream of being in a room filled with cannabis smoke with no obvious source, especially if you can't see anything past it, this is a message concerning death and endings. It's time to say goodbye to someone or to something. and to honor that person or thing in whatever fashion you really need. Cannabis was often used in funeral rites to honor the dead and to say goodbye and to help lead, them into the afterlife in ancient cultures. It was burned as an incense, and the stalks, the leaves, all of that were put on the funeral pyre. Death, of course, doesn't always mean physical death. It means it's time to say goodbye to something. If you're coming up to a funeral or something like that, and you have this kind of dream, someone or something's already died, what this could mean here is that you need to find your own way to say goodbye and to honor that person or that thing. The reason you're in that room and the smoke is occluding everything like that is because other people's method of healing in grief is kind of getting in the way. You need to bust through that and find your own way to honor that so that you can say goodbye properly. And finally, being on a cannabis farm that's lush and that's growing is telling you that you actually rely too much on other people for your success or for your magic, and that it's really time to cultivate your own success. It's time for you to trust yourself and to trust what you can make happen. Very nice dream. Also, I've had a dream where I was on a weed farm one time and it was just very, very peaceful. Like it smelled nice, obviously, because the plants smell nice. I was out in the middle of nowhere. It was just a very peaceful dream. I like that. I like dreaming about farms in general. There's usually cute animals or plants or something I like. So again, these are just some things that I've researched or that I've experienced personally, and that doesn't mean that it's the only meaning for those symbols. If you dream of any of these, once you're awake, reflect on that, how it makes you feel, or anything about it that really stands out to you. Because that is what that thing will mean. If you're constantly dreaming about living cannabis plants, but it doesn't seem to have anything connected to your manifestation, what does it connect to? Is it about growth, or, are you having a child that's growing right now? Are you growing a business, but it's not about man? I don't know, man. Look into it. Dream symbols are very personal, and it's important to remember that they're personal and not to limit yourself by the definitions you see in dream dictionaries or, through Google searches and stuff like that. It's a very subjective form of divination. So to close out this pretty long looking episode so far, I want to talk a little bit about sketchy herbs and magic rocks to help you with your dreaming. I mentioned that I used amethyst, and it's because amethyst is very gentle. It's a stone that's supposed to help you with a restful sleep, keep away nightmares, and also open your third eye and your crown chakra. It's also a stone that is incredibly resilient, that can handle having some oil put on it, and that almost anyone can get a hold of. So I think amethyst is kind of your best bet as far as magic rocks go. But there are lots of different kinds with lots of different effects on your dreams. If you have scary dreams all the time, or you have nightmares, or maybe if you want to stop yourself from dreaming so much, and bring a little light into your nighttime, ritual, try citrine instead. Much like amethyst, it's a quartz, but it has a more of a sunny energy. So amethyst is very like a, not nighttime, but like kind of twilight time of day stone, whereas citrine is like a bright, sunny, near midday kind of stone. This helps keep away nightmares, helps keep away any sort of entities that might kind of hurt you. It helps kids especially have a really nice night's sleep. And if your dreams are fairly dark or spooky, citrine can help just, bring in that sunlight, lighten it up. Moonstone is another stone that can help you not only with restful sleep, but with connecting to your emotions and your psychic abilities in your sleep. It's also a very comforting and calming stone. So again, if you have kids who have a hard time with dreaming or with nightmares, moonstone can be very soothing. If you want to increase your frequency of psychic dreams or even lucid dreams, sleeping with a moonstone under your pillow that you've, put out to collect that full moon energy can be incredibly beneficial incredibly beneficial. And moonstone is just beautiful. It connects you to that lunar energy. So it connects to your sacral chakra, that seat of intuition, that watery chakra, as well as the spiritual ones above, so your brow and your crown. It helps open those and clear those and keep those in good working order. Another one that's kind of uncommon, it's called blue hemimorphite. I bought this at the crystal shop. I picked it up because of the color. The color is this just the most incredible icy blue that you've ever seen in your life. And the minute I picked it up, I felt my eyes spring open, and it's like my brain came to life. It's a very, very interesting stone. This stone works with your crown and your brow, and also your throat. It helps, keep you calm. It helps you communicate with other people and with other beings. And it's a very lucky kind of stone to get you into the right place at the right time, which is really, really great for dreaming, especially if you're lucid dreaming. Keeping hemimorphite in your bedroom can help in general. Just get you into that dream state a little bit better. And using it, the more you use the hemimorphite, the more you make contact with it with your physical body, the more connected you become to it, and the more effective it becomes. I like hemimorphite for any sort of dreams or dream work where you're trying to communicate, whether you're trying to receive a message or send a message out. I find this stone is really, really great for that. In general, if you're working with your throat chakra, I love the hemimorphite. I had never heard of it before, and I literally bought it because it's so pretty, but this is actually a really powerful stone. Another one that will be quite easy for you to remember is dream quartz. It's also called quartz with epidote, or epidote quartz. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I've always heard it referred to as dream quartz. So, of course, it helps with dreams. It opens up your third eye chakra, and it really helps you with things like connection and separation to other people, even in dreams. It can also help attract the dreams that you really need in this moment and make them easier to recall. It's also really great for lucid dreaming, for astral travel, and for connecting with specific spirits of loved ones. If you want to dream of, say, your mother who has passed on, a dream quartz in the bedroom, it's usually a cluster, so you don't really want to put it under your pillow, but in your bedroom, right next to your bed, that you use in a little meditation before bed, can help you connect better to those spirits and receive messages and filter out the dreams that are not very important for you to have right now. If you want to receive answers in your dream to a problem or a question, before bed, take your dream quartz, and a piece of paper, or you can just think it, I guess, and write down these questions that you have or what you're looking for. And meditate with that in the dream quartz and repeat that almost like I did in my pyramid tunnel. I'm going to have a dream. Instead, think, I'm going to dream about blah, blah, blah with your dream quartz. Dream quartz is known to present those answers to you. Like I said, it helps filter out unnecessary dreams. And since, like ancient Egypt, they've been using the dream quartz to help receive messages and analyze dreams in the waking life. This is something that was done by priests, right? So the ancient priests would have these magical dreams. They'd use the dream quartz, and then they'd record them the next day and use the dream quartz to help them analyze them and find answers and messages. They also used it to communicate with gods in that way. They were looking for answers from the gods to specific questions. If you listen to an episode, I put a couple, I don't know, like 2 months ago, Star Goddess, the one where I talked about sketchy herbs and just magic rocks from outer space. So things like moldavite or tektite or the Libyan desert glass, all of those have a really strong energy, and they can all help you get to that dream state. And these are more of a cosmic vibe. So if you want to connect to other worlds, if you want to astral travel, if you want to connect with, cosmic beings or aliens, if you want to be legit about it, these are the kinds of crystals that would work best for you. I like, where's my Tektite? It's here somewhere. I have a Tektite that fits really well on just the first digit of my thumb. And I like to hold it while meditating or before I go to sleep. It makes my arm tingle a little bit, which is weird because not a lot of crystals do that for me. It makes my arm tingle a little bit. And I noticed that the one night that I held on to it and did all of my pre-bed dream stuff, I had really fun dreams about outer space and about aliens and about the moon. It was very, very cool. Most of my dreams are, like I said, I'm very connected to my body and to the earth here. Most of my dreams take place here. But this one was a very, very spacey dream. And any of those more cosmic stones, they offer that connection, right? And they also, again, open up your more psychic chakras. So when looking up sketchy herbs for dreams, I found more than 20 different herbs that are things I recognize and have used before. More than 20. I think I found altogether maybe around 40. So I'm not going to bring you through all 20 here. I'm just going to tell you about some of the ones that I like or have worked with. Jasmine is my favorite when it comes to dream work. Jasmine's kind of my favorite just in general, but it's it's one of my favorite when it comes to dream work. I put jasmine in every single dream pillow I make. It is very good for bringing on prophetic dreams, for attracting those messages to you. I like to put them in dream pillows. You can also drink jasmine tea to pull that energy of the jasmine right into you, or sleep with a blooming jasmine plant in your room, or with, the scent of jasmine. When I sleep with my jasmine in my room while it's blooming, I dream so much more. It's just, the smell is so pervasive. It gets all around you and it's intoxicating. It's beautiful, but it's intoxicating. And I find that I dream a lot more when I have that in there. And a lot of my dreams are more fun. Many of them are also kind of about love or sex because jasmine is a very lovey kind of herb. Love and lust. So jasmine's at the top of my list when it comes to dream herbs. The herbs I mentioned above that have physical effects like mugwort and valerian and peppermint also have magical energies that contribute to dream work. Again, these are ones that you can put into dream pillows or put into a tea. Even if you have like vervain in a capsule, you can always, imbue some magical energy right there in that vervain. Or sleep with peppermint in the room. Again, that scent really, it's a very distinctive scent that brings things up. Those all have magical energies as well as the physical energies. So mugwort is a third eye opening herb, right? It's not psychoactive, but it seems psychoactive. And so it's my number one. I like to burn mugwort incense, include it in my cannabis if I'm smoking it. And like I said, I have the plant. I talk to it every day. It's in my bathroom, so I rub the leaves. And when I go to bed, sometimes my hands smell like mugwort. It's really nice. But all of those can be used. A couple of herbs that you might already use to help you sleep, like chamomile and lavender, also both have really, really great effects on your sleep and your dreaming. Lavender opens up your higher chakras. It's a lot like amethyst that way. And brings clarity to your mind, your mind's eye. It's very soothing. Same with chamomile. It's a very, very soothing plant. It also works with your kind of watery chakra, your sacral down there, to open that up. So that'll bring out your intuition and combine that with your dreaming life. A few others that I like to add to dream pillows for prophetic dreams specifically are bay leaves. Ash leaves are really, really great for that. Morning glory, the seeds especially. Morning glory seeds actually do have a psychoactive compound if you get the right morning glories, but I don't really recommend it. You have to eat so many seeds. It's silly. But morning glory is also a very powerful psychic and magical herb. Probably because it's slightly psychoactive. It's also blue. Morning glory is one of my favorite. It's a little invasive, but I think they're beautiful. Including morning glory seeds in your dream pillows or dream work or dream incenses can help open all of that up and bring in those messages. It can also help you synthesize those messages in your brain so that you can access them later. Now, if you're someone who wants to dream less or wants to stop nightmares or any of that stuff, there's a few magical herbs that do that as well. And I think that's very important. So anise, star anise seeds, these can help prevent dreaming or nightmares in general. Same with lemon verbena. This usually contributes to a dreamless sleep. You can drink lemon verbena in a tea. You can even throw some anise in there if you want, if you like the flavor. And hopefully that should help that part of your brain quiet down a little bit. You can also use herbs or incenses like cedar, which helps, very protective, right? And it also prevents negative energies or entities from getting anywhere near you. Mullein, although it's a death herb that's very connected to death in the psychic realm and spirits, it's also very protective. And this can help prevent nightmares again. An interesting thing that I found that makes perfect sense. If you ever feel in the night that you are maybe grappling with an incubus or succubus demon, you know, the thing sitting on your chest that's then going to suck the life out of your genitals, I guess. Something that I love those myths. They're really fun. Something that prevents things like that. Peony flowers, fairies, and a lot of other mystical creatures don't like peony. Having peony in your garden, wearing peony oil or perfume, or having peony petals around you or underneath the bed can really, really help prevent those kind of entities coming at you if that's something that bothers you all the time. That's also just really neat. And finally, cannabis. You know, like I said, a lot of people find that cannabis does not stop them from dreaming. It can even increase their dreams or increase how vivid they are, how much they remember. That could be the case for you. Cannabis is a really great herb for your third eye, for your crown. These are the chakras I'm opening up when I'm doing psychic or dream work anyways. And in my waking life, I often find that cannabis does help me connect more when I'm doing something like tarot reading. Like I said, I use that oil now, the Emerald CBD oil, before doing psychic work, as well as, you know, sometimes I smoke a little bit as part of the chilling out ritual I do before. And I've been finding, I don't want to say that my card readings are more accurate because they're for me, right? I don't know. But I find it's much easier for me to select cards, and I get more from that card right away. I have to do a lot less overthinking about it before I get myself a really good explanation for why that card is in that place and what it means for me. So cannabis is not necessarily a detriment to your dream magic. It can be very helpful. It can also be something you just have to deal with in another way, like me. Smoking cannabis is definitely affecting my dreams. Also, I'm on, you know, medications. They're supposed to increase dreams, but who knows, right? But working against the cannabis and resenting the cannabis and wishing I could just, you know, throw it all out in the trash, that wasn't helpful. That wasn't working. You know, a watch pot never boils. I'm sitting there just all high, just trying to make myself dream. It doesn't work. Connecting with the spirit of the plant, though, really had some pretty profound effects on me. And I'm hoping that the longer I continue this practice, the longer I try, and the more that I focus on my dreams and on connecting with this magical plant or any magical plant, the more I'll be able to access that, and the more I'll be able to use it in my waking life or in my spiritual practice. So, as I said, there are a lot of different herbs, and I might actually make an entire blog post that has these herbs and some of the crystals just so that you can see some ways to use them. So a lot of these can be put into tea, they can be burned as incense, they can be scattered around your bed, they can be put into a spray that you can use to cleanse the space around you or cleanse or consecrate your bed. So there's lots of different ways to use it. I might have to make a whole blog post about that. Especially because this episode has become incredibly long. I hope you like it. I really hope you like it. Now, this is not everything there is to know about dreams or dream magic or even dreams and cannabis. You know, I'm still doing research because this is a topic I've suddenly become very obsessed with and I'm very, very interested in. And a lot of the people who answered my survey said, you know, this is something I didn't know before, and I had never considered how cannabis affected my spiritual practice because I didn't use it in a spiritual way. And now I think I'm going to think about that more. And I think that's important. Anytime, especially with something natural like a plant, anytime you're working with a plant and you're integrating it into your life and, you know, you're becoming buddies, I think it's important to notice all of the ways that it affects you, all of the ways that it could improve or disimprove your life. If it's ruining your life, you know, you should definitely pay attention. But it's important to pay attention to how that affects you. It's important to pay attention to what kind of energy you're getting off that plant. And cannabis is very popular. It's becoming legalized everywhere. A lot of people are using it all the time. Some people who've never used it before are suddenly starting with cannabis. And if you find that your dreams are not as vivid, or if you can't recall them, that could very well be the reason. Hopefully, some of these spiritual methods or, you know, some of these supplements or something can help you connect to your dreams a little bit more without undoing the work that cannabis does in your waking life. Also, if you're someone who doesn't use cannabis in any way, if you don't like to ingest cannabis, that's okay. Not only can you still work with it in like a CBD form through a facial oil that does nothing as far as psychoactive properties go, but you don't have to use any of the cannabis stuff I mentioned. You know what I mean? We have dream symbols, we have other dream herbs and rocks and methods that you guys can use. Instead of using a cannabis oil, you can use an oil that has something really cool like lavender or jasmine or mugwort in it and put that on your third eye or your crown. There's tons of different ways to reconnect to your dreams, but the most effective way is to just focus on them. To try to connect to dreams and to connect to yourself, to open your mind, your mind's eye, your crown, your intuition, whatever. Open all of that up to any messages that you could be receiving in your dreaming life. And also to be okay if you don't. If your dreams are something totally mundane, they could still be helping you figure things out in your waking life. A lot of people work out emotional situations or real life situations in dreams. And that also has an effect on your magic. Anything that stunts your emotional growth can also kind of stunt your magical growth. So working through mundane issues in dreams still has a positive effect on your magic because dreams are a much larger part of who we are, what makes us happy, and how we connect to the world and the planet than I think a lot of us realize. Whew. Okay. So like I said, this has been a very long episode. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of, plugging my things here at the end. There's always time to do that later. But if you are interested in learning more about me, the Fat Feminist Witch, you can find me at thefatfeministwitch.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I even have a Pinterest. I don't know if that's very exciting to people, but I do. And even though I can't always get messages through there, they go into these other folders. If you email me at fatfeministwitch@gmail.com or through the contact form on my website, you can ask me questions or give me ideas for any future episodes. Also, on my Facebook page, I recently restarted my live series, so you actually get to see my face, called Seeker's Corner. And we're going to be talking about different topics every 2 weeks, but I'm letting you send in questions. In the next episode that is coming up, I'm going to be talking about working with our body and with body type products in our magic. So Herbivore and the Emerald CBD, I'm going to be showing that stuff off, as well as the amethyst scrub, which smells like jasmine. That's super magical, y'all. So you can check out their website, Herbivore Botanicals, and if you go onto their blog, you'll see a really nice interview with me that they posted on 420. So thank you all for tuning in to the Fat Feminist Witch podcast today and for exploring your own dreams. I hope that this helps you connect more and helps you cultivate, I don't know, a much more comfortable connection with whatever herbs or medications or vitamins that you take to make yourself healthier while you're awake, and the spiritual effects that it has on you when you're sleeping. I hope your dreams are sweet, are psychic, and are something that you really love experiencing. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.